One Mediator Media here today. We're just going to go over a few things regarding the debate that just happened. So Kamala and Pence just had their debate, and on this debate they had various topics, various things they talked about. Excellent debate, just how it should be. Very excited about this particular debate. They were calm, they were collective, they had discussions and debates, but not necessarily arguments. So it was a great debate. So today the goal is just enjoy the show. I'm not going to say much. I'm going to let them speak for themselves. So you're going to see some fact checking, a little bit of just kind of seeing what they're saying in terms of the past and what they're saying right now. So we'll have some review of what they said during the debate. We'll jump back and forth between things they themselves said on video, on audio, and then we can see what the heck is going on with these people. So thanks for stopping by. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, come back, comment, and enjoy the show. Now let's mediate.
I had the great honor of meeting him. I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto trying to get to see him on Robbins Island.
Except it's a lie. When I said arrested, I meant I was not able to move. Cops, Afrikaners would not let me go with them, made me stay where I was. I guess I wasn't arrested, I was stopped.
He is honest.
I made a mistake. I said it 14 years ago. I trusted George Bush to keep his word. He said he was not going to go into Iraq.
The only way we're going to get rid of Saddam Hussein, and it's going to require guys like you in uniform to be back on foot in the desert, taking taking Saddam down.
From the moment shock and awe started, from that moment, I was opposed to the effort and I was outspoken.
Some of my own party have said that it was a mistake to go to Iraq in the first place. But the cost of not acting against Saddam, I think, would have been much greater. The President of the United States is a bold leader and he is popular.
He is forthright.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes. And we changed attitudes.
When I was about the age of the guy standing over there, I got involved in the civil rights movement.
I was not an activist. I was not out marching. I was not down in Selma. I was not anywhere else.
But look, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts.
That Joe Biden will not ban fracking. That is a fact.
There are critics that suggest you're trying to have it both ways. That is, you want to tell the environmentalist wing of your party that you want to ban fracking, but you're telling workers here in Pennsylvania nothing to fear.
I never told the environmentalists that I'm going to ban fracking, period.
What about, say, stopping fracking and stopping new pipeline infrastructure?
You got to transition away from it. Look, you're going to ban fracking all across America right now, right?
I would love to.
Yeah, I'd love to too. I'd love to make sure we can't use any oil or gas, period. Look in my eyes. I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel. We are going to get rid of fossil fuels.
That is a fact. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. I have a history of working on this issue.
And with regard to banning fracking, I just recommend that people look at the record. You yourself said repeatedly that you would ban fracking.
You look at our friends at NATO.
In facing our common challenges, we must also ensure that NATO members meet their financial obligations and pay what they owe. Many have not been doing that.
We've stood strong with our allies, but we've been demanding. NATO is now contributing more to our common defense than ever before, thanks to President Trump's leadership.
The Secretary General and I agree that other member nations must satisfy their responsibility to contribute 2% of GDP to defense.
And this is about a pattern of Donald Trump's, where he has referred to our men who are serving in our military as suckers and losers.
Tonight, the president returning from a rally in Pennsylvania denying the story in its entirety from the tarmac of Joint Base Andrews.
And I would be willing to swear on anything that I never said that about our fallen heroes. There is nobody that respects them more. What animal would say such a thing?
Let's take what he said about John McCain.
Back in 2015, then candidate Donald Trump said this about then Senator John McCain, who was a prisoner of war for 5 years in Vietnam.
He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero. 5.5 years. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay?
And Donald Trump says he doesn't deserve to be called a hero because he was a prisoner of war.
Just clap for that, you stupid bastard. Understanding what you may hear about me, I have incredibly good judgment. One, I married Jill. And 2, I appointed Johnson to the academy. I just want you to know that. Just clap for that, you stupid bastard.
Now, with regard to the Supreme Court of the United States, let me say President Trump and I could not be more enthusiastic about the opportunity to see Judge Amy Coney Barrett become Justice Amy Coney Barrett. And we particularly hope that we don't see the kind of attacks on her Christian faith that we saw before. Senator, I know one of our judicial nominees you actually attacked because they were a member of the Catholic Knights of Columbus, just because the Knights of Columbus holds pro-life views and pro-marriage views.
Thank you, Vice President.
Senator Kamala Harris has a record of grilling Catholic judges nominated to sit on federal courts and who also belong to the Knights of Columbus.
Saying that being a member of the Knights was a bridge too far, that any member of the Knights is not eligible for the federal bench, which suggests any Catholic is not eligible for the federal bench.
In 2018, Senator Kamala Harris quizzed Catholic judicial nominees Brian Bisher and Peter Phipps in written questionnaires. To Peter Phipps, she wrote, "The Knights of Columbus state that they defend the right to life of every human being from the moment of conception to natural death. If confirmed to the bench, will you defend the right to life of every human being from the moment of conception to natural death?" Phipps wrote in reply, quote, "If confirmed to the bench, I will follow the law."
Joe Biden and I are both people of faith.
Do you know what the point of the questions for the record about your membership in the Knights of Columbus was?
No, Senator, I do not.
What's happening in this committee is absolutely nuts, that we're asking people questions about why they're members in the largest Catholic fraternal organization in America.
And it's insulting to suggest that we would knock anyone for their faith.
In 2016, as Attorney General of California, she authored the search of the home of pro-life activist David Daleiden for undercover videos exposing Planned Parenthood officials discussing alleged sale of baby body parts, but did not investigate the practices the video showed. Some Catholics say it indicates Kamala Harris lacks tolerance for those who practice their faith.
And in fact, Joe, if elected, will be only the second practicing Catholic as President of the United States.
Senator Harris has previously stated she doesn't necessarily think Catholics are eligible for federal service, and yet she is potentially going to serve as vice president under the second Catholic president were Joe Biden to be elected.
There's the issue of choice, and I will always fight for a woman's right to make a decision about her own body. It should be her decision and not that of Donald Trump and the vice president, Michael Pence.
Joe Biden once criticized Roe v. Wade. In 1974, he told the Washingtonian magazine, "I don't like the Supreme Court decision on abortion. I think it went too far. I don't think that a woman has the sole right to say what should happen to her body." He did vote in 1995 and 2003 to ban partial birth abortion. But National Right to Life says Biden never voted with them again. In a 2007 debate, he said he strongly supports Roe v. Wade. And on the 2012 VP debate stage, Joe Biden faced Paul Ryan.
Life begins at conception. That's the church's judgment. I accept it in my personal life. But I refuse to impose it on equally devout Christians and Muslims and Jews. And I just refuse to impose that on others.
I don't see how a person can separate their public life from their private life or from their faith.
I couldn't be more proud to serve as vice president to a president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life. I'm pro-life. I don't apologize for it.
The baby is born. The mother meets with the doctor. They take care of the baby. They wrap the baby beautifully. And then the doctor and the mother determine whether or not they will execute the baby. I don't think so.
Presidential hopeful Cory Booker calls that a lie. President Trump counters Virginia's governor from January.
The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother.
And this is another one of those cases where there's such a dramatic contrast. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris support taxpayer funding of abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. Late-term abortion. They want to increase funding to Planned Parenthood of America. When you speak about the Supreme Court, though, I think the American people really deserve an answer, Senator Harris. Are you and Joe Biden going to pack the court if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed?
If you're president, would you seek to increase the number of U.S. Supreme Court nominees?
You know, that's exactly what they want me to talk about, so we don't talk about how they're violating the Constitution now?
Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution clearly states that the president, quote, shall nominate, end quote, justices of the Supreme Court when a vacancy occurs.
I'm not going to play Trump's game. Right now, my entire focus is seeing to it that the American people get a chance, the election's already started, to have their say in who the next Supreme Court justice is.
But your party is actually openly advocating adding seats to the Supreme Court, which has had 9 seats for 150 years, if you don't get your way. This is a classic case of if you can't win by the rules, you're going to change the rules.
Neither you nor Joe Biden are willing to give a straight answer as to whether or not you're willing to entertain that idea, but it's not some fringe idea. Democrats in Washington are talking about it. Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader in the Senate, has said that he's not taking anything off the table. Is that an idea that you're willing to think about?
Joe has been really clear. Let's focus on what's happening right now. Deal with later. Let's not get distracted. Let's be focused on what is right in front of us, because there is a lot at stake in terms of the integrity of our democracy, of our election system, and this process that should take place over the next 35 days.
Now, you've refused to answer the question. Joe Biden has refused to answer the question. So I think the American people would really like to know, if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed to the Supreme Court of the United States, are you and Joe Biden, if somehow you win this election, going to pack the Supreme Court to get your way?
Justice.
I just want the record to reflect she never answered the question. So I think the American people, maybe the next debate, Joe Biden will answer the question. But I think the American people know the answer.
Thank you.
I will respectfully note that you also declined to answer that question with me, Senator Kamala Harris. I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you so much.
And if you haven't figured it out yet, the straight answer is they are going to pack the Supreme Court if they somehow win this election.
President Roosevelt clearly had the right to send to the United States Senate and the United States Congress a proposal to pack the court. It was totally within his right to do that. He violated no law. He was legalistically absolutely correct. But it was a bonehead idea. It was a terrible, terrible mistake to make, and it put in question, for an entire decade, the independence of the most significant body, including the Congress, in my view, the most significant body in this country, the Supreme Court of the United States of America. The president had the right to do that. He was totally within his power, and his objective was seen clearly.
But I've learned one thing since I've decided to run for president, and I assume one thing. Everything about me is going to come out in the public record. And I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
And we will decriminalize marijuana, and we will expunge the records of those who have been convicted of marijuana.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
And I inhaled. I did inhale.
Okay. Was it a blunt or joint?
It was a joint.
Hey.
Yeah.
You remember the high?
I do. And the reality of this is that we are talking about an election in 27 days, where last week the President of the United States took a debate stage in front of 70 million Americans and refused to condemn white supremacists.
I watched those very closely, much more closely than you people watched it. And you have you had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it right now. You had a group on the other side that came charging in without a permit, and they were very, very violent. Well, excuse me. I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists by any stretch. Those people were also there because they wanted to protest the taking down of a statue, Robert E. Lee. I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And if you reported it accurately, you would say. And you had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did.
This is who we have as the President of the United States. And America, you deserve better. Joe Biden will be a president who brings our country together.
Senator Harris.
And recognizes the beauty in our diversity and the fact that we
Senator
all
Harris,
have so much more in common than what separates us.
We already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shots.
I learned a lot. And I learned that, and Corn Pop was a bad dude.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro, good for the black in the South. Other than the fact that they still call me boy, I think they've changed their mind a little bit. If Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean or rose up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot. Is it because blacks are involved in Haiti?
It was old media that got him in trouble. Personal comments he made about another White House hopeful, Senator Barack Obama.
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
They're going to put you all back in chains. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
One chapter receiving fresh scrutiny comes from his earliest years in the Senate, when he strongly opposed mandatory school busing. It was designed to achieve integration and a more equitable education. What's less known is how he followed the lead of some of the Senate's most fervent segregationists. In a series of never-before-published letters reviewed by CNN, the strength of Biden's opposition to busing comes into sharper focus. On March 25, 1977, Biden wrote, "My bill strikes at the heart of the injustice of court-ordered busing. It prohibits the federal courts from disrupting our educational system." Biden sought and received support from Mississippi Senator James Eastland, the Democratic chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and a leading symbol of Southern resistance to desegregation. He frequently spoke of blacks as, quote, an inferior race. Eastland and others were partners on several of Biden's anti-busing bills. On June 30th, 1977, Biden wrote, "Dear Mr. Chairman, I want you to know that I very much appreciate your help during this week's committee meeting in attempting to bring my anti-busing legislation to a vote." Then in 1978, Biden again asked Eastland to put his anti-busing bill before the full Senate, writing, "Your participation in floor debate would be welcome."
I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. Increase the penalties. Increase them. I would put the son of a gun in jail. Put them to death.
That Joe Biden has a deep, deep-seated commitment to fight for our democracy and to fight for the integrity of our democracy and to bring integrity back to the White House.
I mean, here in America, we can disagree. We can debate vigorously, as Senator Harris and I have on this stage tonight. But when the debate is over, we come together as Americans.
Well, that concludes our show for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A lot of good information out there, a lot of fact-checking out there. Couldn't hit every single topic as it was almost a 2-hour debate, but we hit quite a few. Hopefully it clears some things up. You know, definitely want to always look, fact-check what you hear. These people make a lot of statements, you know, they make a lot of statements on both sides. Got to check them out. I'm glad you guys got to see this. Hopefully it'll help you out in your decision making and what's coming up, you know, and thanks for stopping by. And remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, and just keep this thing going. We're putting this information out there for you guys to have, putting this information out there for you guys to make good decisions, and hopefully it helped you out today. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll mediate again later. Bye.